How's it going, fellas? This is House Cat MMA, and right now I'm going to be going over just pretty much what Gable Steveson has been doing with his life as of late, and how I think Gable Steveson is the modern era Brock Lesnar. But before I get into all that, if you would take about a second to like and subscribe, that would definitely be the coolest thing you've done today. Maybe even the coolest thing you've done this week, and depending on who you are, it might be the coolest thing you've done this month. But yeah, Gable Steveson, he and Brock Lesnar are very similar. It's actually crazy how similar they are. Obviously, the main thing they have in common is they both wrestled for the University of Minnesota. Gable Steveson was a two-time national champion over there, and Brock Lesnar was a one-time national champion over there. I think that Steveson was a better wrestler in college than Brock Lesnar was. I think if you put 21-year-old Gable Steveson in there against 21-year-old Brock Lesnar, I think Steveson wins like probably like 8-4 or 11-5 or something like that. Because watching Steveson wrestle was a thing. It is a thing of beauty. Like the way he just so seamlessly level changes to a low single, and then if that works, cool. But if it doesn't, he'll switch to a double, or maybe he'll go from a low single to a high crotch and try to lift you up and slam you Daniel Cormier style. But if that doesn't work, he'll shift his weight over here, and then he'll just fucking blast you onto the ground. Like his chain wrestling isn't the best I've ever seen, but it's probably top five I've ever seen. And the thing about Brock Lesnar was he had some slick shit too, and how explosive he was with a blast double was crazy. But that's really like he did have talent, but he was really just a talented but not overly talented wrestler, but definitely talented, but not as talented as most guys that win national titles are. Like he won the national title off of sheer strength and athleticism. Because when Brock Lesnar was 21, 22 years old, I mean, yeah, he was. He had been on this earth for 21, 22 years, but he was 22 going on 31. And Stevenson's the same way. He's 25 now. He's 25 going on 32. Like there's people mature at different rates. And Gable Steveson was a grown man when he was 13. And, a big reason I was a fan of Brock Lesnar, like I was saying about him being talented but not overly talented, was he did everything he did in sport just by being the bigger, nastier, more athletic, baddest son of a bitch in there. And Steveson has that about him too. Like there's you have alpha males and then you have alpha males. And Brock Lesnar and Gable Steveson are alpha fucking males. Like nobody like they're the type of people that with their presence, no matter where they're at, they're alpha males amongst alpha males, and they make any man feel less than, but just by their presence. That's just how they are. And so they both did their thing at the University of Minnesota, and then they both dick around in the WWE for a little bit. There's nothing wrong with dicking around in the WWE. Brock Lesnar did it a whole lot longer. Gable Steveson did it just for a little bit. And then they both ended up having something to do with the NFL for a little bit. Brock Lesnar with the Minnesota Vikings, and Gable Steveson following the footsteps of Brennan Schaub and having a cappuccino with the Buffalo Bills. So, they were both, one of some of the last to be cut. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar went back to do some pro wrestling in Japan. And once it didn't work out for Gable in the NFL, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to try some MMA while I'm still young. And Brock Lesnar kind of did that too, but he made some more money doing some pro wrestling first. So, and kind of what's going on with Stevenson's MMA career is pretty much what goes on in every asset of his life, or facet of his life. Just being an alpha male amongst alpha men. He won his first fight in MMA by TKO, minute 38 seconds into the first round. And he wins his second fight, which was a couple of days ago, 24-second knockout on the feet. And he did some dirty boxing, and he knocked that fool out in 15 seconds. So, obviously fighting these tomato cans in the regional circuit, Gable Steveson's gonna wreck shop. Now, he's obviously going to be in the UFC at some point, probably by 2027. And as it stands right now, I don't think Gable is hearing a peep out of guys ranked 11 through 15. He's not hearing a word out of Marcin Tybura, as bad as I hate it. He's not hearing a word out of Shamil Gaziev. He's not hearing a peep out of Tai Tuivasa. And, I was thinking about what would happen like right now if Gable Steveson and Derek Lewis fought. And Derek Lewis would probably, maybe not. He might get one of his come from behind wins, but I think he's taken guys to the top 10 down, just wrestling pedigree, because as it stands right now, say right now, Steveson signed a contract with the UFC. He's got the best wrestling pedigree in the heavyweight division right now, because right now the guy with the best pedigree is Curtis Blades, and I'm pretty sure he was just a two-time national champion. And there's nothing wrong with being a two-time national champion. Some of the finest men on earth were junior college national champions. John Jones is a two-time junior college national champion. Daniel Cormier was a two-time junior college national champion. Anthony Johnson, I'm pretty sure, was a two-time junior college national champion. Brock Lesnar was a one-time junior college national champion. And there's some guys I'm missing. There's a lot of heart in that. Junior college, it don't get enough credit. I think it's tougher than D2. But so yeah, I kind of went off on how passionate I am about junior college wrestling, but there hasn't been a guy with that kind of pedigree since in the heavyweight division, the UFC, since Cormier, but Cormier wasn't even an NCAA champion. Was his name? Cale Sanderson was in his way to do that. And I'm trying to think if there's been any gold medalists fighting the heavyweight division in the UFC, Olympic gold medalists. I don't think there has been. And not in the heavyweight division, no. So he's bringing all this shit, all this first-timer shit into the heavyweight division, which is really just being an Olympic gold medalist. So, he's probably going to be in the UFC by 2027. He might be the champion by 2029. Who knows? I really jumped the gun on that statement because there's a whole mess of guys in his way. Aspinall would be an issue. Cyril Gahn would be an issue. John Almeida would kind of play to his strengths. Who knows what would happen between Gable Steveson and John Almeida? Too early to tell, because I can see, knowing what little I know about the fundamentals of fighting, I can see holes in Stevenson's stand-up game. There's not a whole lot of lateral movement going on. There's a lot of straight forward, straight back, and that's working for him. Sometimes that's all you need. But yeah, I think Gable Steveson might be the UFC heavyweight champion at some point. Probably not in the 2020s, but maybe in the 2030s. And that is why I think he is the modern era Brock Lesnar. Just an alpha male amongst alpha men, good at every fucking thing he does that has to do with using his body to cause destruction. Not quite as tall as Brock Lesnar, but I think he might be a little more. I think he's a little bit more talented than Brock Lesnar. He might be a little more athletic than Brock Lesnar. But that's all I have on that. Just rambling on about how much I love Gable Steveson and Brock Lesnar. But this is House Cat MMA. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll catch y'all later.